Well, hello everybody. Happy New Year. Happy January 2018. Kemetia Foley here, and I am so happy today to be joining you for this Executive Secretary Magazine webinar. And the presentation we're doing today is using Throwback Tools to plan ahead. And January is no better time to plan ahead. Maybe December is a better time to plan ahead, but getting started sooner rather than later is really important. And basically what we're going to talk about today is using pen, paper, pencils, Post-its, all the things that are analog, old school, to organize and plan your entire year. Of course, you're not going to be able to plan a whole year in one sitting, but what you can do is get ready for a whole year in one sitting. So when we get to that discussion, we'll have a little show and tell. We're going to talk about four main facets today of using Throwback Tools to plan ahead. One, why is it important to set aside time for planning? Two, how to capture vital ideas and don't lose them. Three, the tools and supplies that you need or could use potentially for capturing these ideas and organizing it in a way that makes it work for you. And lastly, and the most important piece here, is making sure that you use this tool to capture the things and be able to document back to your annual review when it comes time to do your review process at the end of the year. It'll all be in one place, hopefully, and make life really simple. I talked about this a little bit at Summit 2017 for IAAP, about making sure you have all of your documentation in one place. But before we get started, I want to make sure I give a shout out to how I got started with this webinar idea. And it came from Amy Schmidt-Tower. Now, Amy Schmidt-Tower wrote the book Vlog Like a Boss, and she's a famous YouTube vlogger. She has her own YouTube channel. I follow her. I happened to catch a YouTube video of hers on how she plans out a single month of content for her her vlogging and her podcast, and it kind of tricked this train of ideas for me. Although I have a phone and a calendar on my computer at work, how can I do this in a way that will help me personally? And I am definitely somebody who likes to write things down. I'm a pen person, I'm a list person, so this has been a great opportunity for me to learn. But I have to give credit where credit is due, because some of these techniques I did learn from watching her video. I cannot take credit for them myself. So let's get started. So, why set aside time for planning? Well, setting aside time for planning is allowing you to think. It allows you to decompress, to kind of take a deep breath and think, okay, center, what am I doing, where am I going? And I find that when I have that kind of time alone and I start to write these things down when I'm planning, that it triggers a train of thought for me. Maybe it does for you as well, where it leads for one thing, oh, I forgot about that, or what are, then if that happens, then I have to make sure I do this, and so forth and so on. So setting aside that time allows me to kind of build that stew, as you were, kind of add those ingredients in, think through everything. It also allows me to flag conflicts or time challenges. So when I'm thinking about, for example, I want to take vacation. Well, I have to have my time organized for the whole year, really, in order to be able to enjoy vacation or not have a conflict at work. And having time to plan that out when it won't be right before something big at work, or something that is, right around a holiday, and it's going to cause all kinds of stress because the travel is really tough during holidays, whatever it is, it'll allow me to address those time challenges. And last, the most important thing for me here is focusing on priorities or reprioritizing. So when I when I am doing webinars or teaching or traveling or at my day job, my full-time job, it becomes really important for me not to get sidetracked, which is super hard to do for me. I have to really remain focused. So when I look at all the things that are going on, I can put them in context. I could put them in priority order if I think that there's a conflict, or I look at this and say, that's just not going to be feasible. I'm not going to be able to give it the kind of quality time that I want to give it. I can decline a request. I can refer a different trainer, or if I'm at work and I know that I can't make the time happen, then I know right away when I start to see that time conflict to go to my supervisor and ask for assistance in either reprioritizing when I have a large project, or asking for the help that I need to get the project done on time. So it's really important to set aside time for planning. Preferably, if you're doing it in your office, try to find a conference room or a quiet cube away from your desk where you may or may not, hopefully will not be interrupted. Or go downstairs to the lobby of your building, or when you step out for lunch, take a late lunch and go someplace quiet. If you're doing it on your own time, you know the places that you like to go to get away from it all. It is hard to plan and do stuff in your own restroom at home. So while a lot of people like to have quiet time in their restroom at home, I don't recommend this as a place to do your planning for your year. So we're ready to start talking about capturing vital ideas. And while this is kind of a jumping ahead of the rest of the webinar, we're going to talk about this particular tool that I am using. This is the At a Glance planner. It is 8.5 by 11. They make it 3 different sizes. I have no benefit from them whatsoever for talking about their product. You can use a blank journal. You can use your own calendar. Amy talks about different, I have on the end of this webinar, there'll be a resource, a Pinterest board that I have for bullet journals. But really the key here right now is talking about capturing vital ideas. What is a vital idea? It's something that you know you don't want to forget. So for example, if I'm at work and I think about something that may conflict, or I think of a way to save money for the company, and I don't want to forget it because I'm in the middle of a meeting, I am going to swing right over to this page of my notebook that says ideas, and I'm going to put the date down. I'm going to write what the idea is, either a summary or a bullet, and then I will either put another flag on it, or I will make sure that I have written down just enough of that information so that when I'm ready to go back to my boss, or later on another meeting when we're talking about, and I wish I had this last year when I started learning Adobe Spark, but really I wish I'd had that. But you just want to make sure you capture the gist of it so you don't forget that train of thought, because I think we're all human and we think we're going to remember things, but the volume of material we process, emails, appointments, tasks, it's easier to forget things than we realize. So I think it's really important that we make sure we capture vital ideas, especially any that might save the company money or that could help you, that directly impact your success in your career. So we have my favorite part probably of the entire webinar. Well, no, actually it isn't my favorite part, but it is one of my favorite parts. And that's to talk about collaboration tools and supplies. What is not in this picture to your right is your phone. And your phone is your cell phone, your mobile device is, or whether you use a tablet or if you use an iPad, whatever you use that is a digital resource can also be used while we're using Throwback Tool. Okay? And how that happens and why I use it is in circumstances where I am not easily able to get to my pen and paper. So when you use your phone, you can take pictures and save them. You can, when you see something that's a cool idea and you're out and about, take a picture. You can also use the recording device on your phone, which is you can record messages to yourself. I don't know if you've ever done that. Just to make notes to yourself. Remember to do this. Some people use the calendar app that allows you to put, application, pardon me, that allows you to say, put this on my calendar and remind me 10 minutes prior. So you can use electronic tools. For me, I use the electronic tool when I can't get to the written one. And the reason why we're talking about throwback tools, this notebook idea, using pen and paper instead of using digital apps or online applications or applications through Outlook, is because there are times we don't have internet access, or the battery dies on our phones, or we just don't have what we need with us. And really having this hard copy document with us, is this tracker, for lack of better words, is really important. And Julie Perrine talks about that both in her disaster planning tool and also when she talks about her Procedures Pro planning. Julie Perrine is well known through being one of the most amazing procedures trainers in the world, and so she talks about how it is important to have backup on hard paper instead of having it just on your phone. But I digress. So you can use your phone for some of these things, and your pad and your tablet. Just be sure that you have a printout of it somewhere if it's something that you know that's really vital that you don't want to lose, or you jot down where you've backed it up to in your tracker here. So now that we've talked about your phone, let's talk about the paper supplies that you see in front of you. I talked about earlier my notebook, and what you see here in this picture is the notebook. I have pens, markers, post-it notes, tape flags, colored pencils, a pencil sharpener because I don't like to get up and use the electric one in the other part of our house. And then I have a highlighter for some things there. So really simple to set it up, and we're going to talk about that some more in a second. Let's get right to the notebook. So you have the notebook. We are going to take a couple of pages for each month at the front. So set aside a couple of pages for each month at the front, and then projects are separate. And then ideas, and then I have one down here for admin conference, which I'll talk about in a moment. But let's talk about the setup. And I was thinking about this earlier today, actually, while I was doing this project. Kind of like analog Evernote, right? Or like a OneNote, but in a notebook form, which is kind of fun when you think about it. The only thing that I can't put in here is I can't draw. I guess I could print out pictures and then cut them and paste them and put them in there, but that'd be kind of silly. But to the point of being organized and tracking, let's get straight to setting the pages up. So a couple of pages in, I am going to January. So in January, I have, and this is the idea I got from Amy, I have the dates down the side, and I had to carry it over a bit. And then I have like the first thing that I knew right away that I had to make sure I kept track of, which is the CAP Review Boot Camp that I'm doing for folks who are taking the CAP exam in the spring. And then on the other side, you will see I have the tab set up for January. And I probably should have used a harder plastic, like a tab divider type thing. But this will work for now because these are really kind of cool. And I can always replace it, right? Because it's just a post-it note. I have something that's personal and important to me right here. I have webinars that I don't want to forget about. That's also this January 18th. And then I have some more stuff about the CAP. And then I have some work deadline stuff that I have to remember about. And then after that, I have blank pages. So I obviously had one page I messed up, so I just tore it right out, which is awesome. Just like that. But I have blank pages, and you can see that it has a calendar for the whole year below it. You can also, if you look at the top, you can see if there's a specific date where you want to flag it, the date on something that you're working on something. And I did this for each month. So like I said, Amy Schmidt-Tower talks about this when she sets up her content. So she was just doing a single month. And she did it so that she actually created a calendar grid on the next of her blank pages. But for me, what I did was I just left it simple. Yeah, I got coffee on there. Big surprise. So there's stuff. There's South Africa for Executive Secretary Live. And I did this for every month that of the year. And then because I have two things I know right away for Executive Secretary that I'm doing this year, I set aside a project tab for them. So skipped to here. It says ESL SA. So that's South Africa. Everything that's going to have to do with Executive Secretary Live in South Africa for me, my notes, anything important that I need to make sure I keep track of, I'm going to put in right here. And I also have one for ESL. Ta-da-da-da. ESLL, which is London. I'll be doing ESL London in March. So that's that tracking page. And last but not least, I have this tab right here for admin conferences. I guess I could say pretty much any conference, but I have a tab for admin conferences. I can redo another tab. And I want to write down, anytime I come across a conference, a professional development event that I want to attend, that maybe I can't do this year in this budget year, right? But I want to make sure I don't, or, last minute, is there a conference you'd like to go to? And, we have some money left at the end of the year budget. I will have that list in front of me. So as I come across them, I just could write them in here. Some of the dates I already know, like Executive Secretary, obviously, then APC, Joan Berge Office Dynamics, when that is, when IAAP Summit is in July in Austin, Texas, all of those things. IMA folks, you're going to know you could put in your dates for all the various conferences. World Administrator Summit for Germany, I could put that in here for October. All those things. So now we've gotten to really the most important reason to use the Throwback tool to move ahead. And the way you want to move ahead is whatever you define as moving ahead. Is it crossing things off your list? Is it proving to your boss that you want more responsibilities? Is it leaving your job to start a side job or a contract job or start your own company? Whatever it is. But in terms of just sitting down for your annual performance review, let's just talk about the advantage of having this documentation all in one place. One, hopefully you've kept track. Anywhere in this notebook, you could set up a tab where you've saved money or whatever you want to do, or if you're somebody who you keep it somewhere separately, or your cost savings idea, it could be your ideas tab. You can have those go back January, I saved this much. February, I found a vendor for audio recording. Or I found a new tool that doesn't cost anything for conference calls, or whichever you want to do, where you have saved those cost savings. Next piece of your review, talk about your project milestones. You can flip back, look at projects, at your project tabs, and see where you've hit those milestones, or any particular way that you have shepherded a project through to completion. Where's your contribution to that? Again, you're going to document contributions to the team and to the company. So if you've covered for somebody while they were out on extended leave, if you have taught them a new way to use PowerPoint and Office Mix, which I'm using today for really only like the third time, and I'm really quite loving it. I can showcase that, make sure I've documented that. I have that in to put into my documentation. How have I helped the company? Have I brought in new business? Have I brought in a new vendor? Have I negotiated any kind of catering deals? Have I trained all the admin team on, what I learned at Summit or what I learned at Executive Secretary Live? Any place that you've contributed to the organization. You want to showcase this document, this notebook, this old school tracking notebook, right, or bullet journal, or whatever you want to call it, allows you to showcase your time management mastery, because you can have all these things at your tip of your hands without having to go to your computer or your phone, and you can be flip to it quickly and say, look, if we do this during this month, we have these other things going on. And sometimes people see when you've written things down, and when they see it in front of them laid out on paper, it just sticks better. It becomes really clear quickly what's going on. So that's a great way to show that you have planned ahead, that you have this tool that you use frequently or every day or every month to plan, and you have the best interests of your team, yourself, and your company in front of you. You can also use this for your personal stuff as well. So when you want to have, if you want to have a tab or set aside a section of your notebook for professional development or new ideas, career options, or whatever you want to put in there, that's yours. You're not going to turn this notebook in. It's not a homework assignment, right? But you do want to be able to show it off. And then you have a list of tasks outside your job duties and scope of responsibilities. Everybody has this. Happens all the time. You pitch in when somebody is out, or you take over a project that is behind, that's not in your job description. It's not my job description at my current position to do marketing videos. However, I have found myself in the last year and few months that I am doing videos and graphic design to contribute to our social media process. So I'm documenting each time that I do that, and the time for my time sheet that I use for that, so that I have a case to be made if I want to show that I'm doing more marketing than I am other things. So take advantage of that tracking, so that when you get to that annual review process, when somebody says, well, maybe you didn't make one of your goals this year, and you show not only by your timesheet but by your notebook that you were working, you expended more time on a conference project than anticipated, and that's why maybe you didn't get to this other project that was not a higher priority. So absolutely make sure that you take advantage of tracking. Okay, so it's been a pretty interesting webinar. I always say that my motto is keep learning, keep growing. So I hope that you feel the same way. We're talking about this throwback tool of either bullet journal or notebooking or whatever you want to call it in terms of tracking things that you need to do throughout the year and kind of getting yourself organized for the year. And the 4 key components of using throwback tools to plan ahead, of course, setting aside time to plan. Make time for planning. So maybe it's a quiet Sunday morning before everybody gets out of bed, or you get away on a rainy day to a coffee shop, whatever works for you. Set aside time to plan. 2, you want to make sure you capture those vital ideas, that you don't miss out on that opportunity that could change your career, make a contribution to the company, make a big change in the way you do your work. So make sure you capture those vital ideas. 3, make sure you take advantage of collaboration tools and supplies. So even though we're talking about throwback tool for using notebook or journal, pen, paper, Post-its, highlighters, colored pencils. We also encourage you to use your phone to capture pictures and ideas of things that you need to make sure. If you have an opportunity, you're not going to be able to get to your notebook. You are going to need to take advantage of that opportunity. I'm not saying go completely analog. You do want to make sure you can record your ideas if they hit you at a funny time, or take a picture of something that captures your imagination. And lastly, the most important one, which we talked about, is using this great tool when it comes time for your annual review. You don't want to miss out on making sure that you don't miss things. So this is going to be a great place to capture it all in one spot. All the cost savings, all the ideas, all the things that you do outside of your regular job duties. Great place to capture all of those things. You can find me here. You see on the slide, my blog is adminrenegade.com. You can find me on Twitter at Office Renegade, Snapchat, and Instagram. You can find me on LinkedIn. If you reach out to me on LinkedIn, let me just give you a pointer. Be sure to let me know how we met or why you're connecting with me. Say you saw me on a webinar, or that you met me at a conference. If you send me an invite with no picture on your profile and no explanation as to why you would like to connect, I will not respond. That's a security and safety issue for me, and also a time saver. You may get a message back from me asking how I can be of assistance, and that's my way of saying, do you need something from me right now? Unless you say so otherwise. Lastly, on Pinterest, if you follow Pinterest, I have a Pinterest board account, Kem Foley, Kem Foley, and on my Pinterest I have a admin life, ADMIN life, LIFE, bulletin board that has all kinds of ideas, including some bullet journal ones, and then I also have a Cubicle Nation board, and I have some office supply boards, organizational tools. So if you go out onto Pinterest, I just have a small snippet out on Pinterest. Oh my goodness, talk about bullet journal ideas. You could go crazy for hours. Or better yet, go out onto YouTube and check out some of those bullet journals. Better yet, go out to Amy Schmidt-Tower and check out her YouTube channel. And let me get on over to that slide next so you can see what that is.